the truth.
Hey guys. Oh, hi, I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Well, let's make up the date like the government does. We'll say it's Christmas Eve because that's the Christian thing to do. We'll not say it's Jesus' birthday tomorrow, but we are saying it's Tuesday. Oh, wait, that's the 25th, right? Anyway. All right, December 25th. It's a Wednesday, 2025. Well, let me get my regalia on here. I had to figure out how to do all this while we were, and by the way, this is my Christmas sweater of choice. So we are going to do that today. Somehow there's some hooky-pooky on. I guess you guys wouldn't be able to see that anyway, but let's see. Seam goes in the back. Oh, over my nose. All right, here we go. Oh, golly, this thing is so small. All right, hold on here. No. Hold on a second here. I think I got it. All right, over to the left. Does that mean I'm gay? All right. Anyway, so now we got to do the headphones. Well, this seems like it's way down on my forehead, though. Ugh. All right, here we go. Go like this, and then, oh, wait, try to go over the top, drag him down. Oh, my gosh, that looks horrible. All right, well, guys, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We'll go ahead and continue the show and the goings-on of the day. I have to, golly, I got to log in. I forget that. I hate this, that I forget the login of this Restream. Oh, of course I don't know it. So, anyway, let me see what I can find here. I don't remember what this one is. Huh. Is that it? No. All right, try this different one. I don't know if I know the login to this. There it goes. Hey, magic. Hey, everybody. Look, everybody coming down. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So if you guys have commented in the last 2 to 3 minutes, I have not seen them because I did not have. I know this sounds crazy, but Restream Chat I have to log into it as a separate account. Not to that Restream can't just be up and doing its thing, that it has to have its own special thing. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh, that's hot. Ooh, I said that's hot. Ugh, that's so hot. All right. Anyway, good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, tomorrow is the reason for the season. It's Jesus' birthday, September, whatever it's supposed to be. And oh, wait, is this why we're having a problem being here? And yes, tomorrow is the not what I did at all. Facebook did that for you guys. I liked the post, and that's what it just did. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Looks like I am running a little late on everybody's calendar here. Here we go. But anyway, guys, listen, the whole idea of what we're doing this for and why we're a part of this big blue marble is we weren't here to be separated into our little corners and be told that we don't belong to each other and we're not each other and all that stuff. Now, I will grant you this. Listen, there's a certain amount of things that we should be looking around at and understand that we need to be different. Am I got an echo on this? So I got a tin sound? Anyway, let's see if if we can get a little feedback on that. Anyway, it looks like the usuals are not going to be here just yet, so we're waiting on a couple others. But let me go down through this and let's do a share show. We'll do a share show. I want to make sure that I just want to let you guys know where I'm coming from and all this stuff. And there's a lot of things that I know that people don't always see or understand about each other. And let me do this. For me, when I talk about Christmas, it's because it was never a thing. And one of the problems that I had or situations I had in school is that we always had, like, Valentine's Day, and you had the Easter stuff, and you had your birthday, and Christmas was coming, and here comes Thanksgiving, and all these different things. And I will tell you that I don't know what parents I got or what family I bought into or what contract I thought it was okay to be a part of on the other side, or however you want to line up the scenario of getting through this life as a child. I will tell you that when I turned 17, I was allowed to have 2 guests over to dinner for my birthday with Marge and Charlie. And that was our party. So I had Dennis, my best friend at the time, Dennis Prey, and he still lives here in Wichita, I think, and my girlfriend at the time. And that was it. And so then even prior to that, there was no birthday parties to speak of that I know of. I do remember when I was a young boy, and between years of 0 to 5, somewhere in there is when the Sanchez's took care of me when I was in Glendale, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, the Valley, that I remember there was a birthday party I had. And I don't remember anything much past the remembering that I had a birthday party. I kind of remember the situation of things, but that was that party. And then, yeah. And then there's, we're just going through 0 to 18. And after that, there's a lot of other parties and a lot of the things that happen, and, people that are in and out of your life, and whether, birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the stuff really matters to the other person, what have you, that I'm not doing that part of it. I'm talking about the childhood stuff. So when I was a kid, to me, I always thought it was really cool. All the stuff I saw on television, all the stuff I saw in movies, the stuff I heard people talking about, I was just so impressed with what it could be. And so maybe that's because the lack of what I had, the lack of traditions I had, I really hung on to the idea of making sure that family gets together and we all are better for each other, and the world is a better place only because we're here with each other. And that we should do better for each other. We should really be better for each other in a lot of ways. And so as I saw that vacuum or that void in my own life, I thought, man, this is when I get older, I'm going to have a big house. I'm going to have all my kids there. I'm going to have all my grandkids there, great-grandkids. Everybody's going to hang out. We're going to get together at least from Christmas to New Year's, if that's a week there or 2 weeks, whatever it is, and say, hey, we're going to Dad's. We're going to Mom and Dad's. I would have always hoped that I would have stayed married. That was kind of the point of it, right? And but the point is now it's like, hey, I want to go to Dad's. I want to be at Dad's for Christmas. I want to hang out. I want to be there for the Christmas Eve and hanging out and making sure everything's ready for Christmas Day. And that Christmas Day itself is a special moment where you get up and you spend time exchanging gifts and watching each other and seeing what that gratitude and what that expression of love looks like. And I always thought that this is what everybody else did. I thought everybody else craved Christmas in that same way. They craved having the time with each other. And I didn't realize that so many people, until COVID really showed me how much people really don't like people. And what is sad is that it's almost like it's a cliche. It's like, people suck. Well, I love my dogs more. I have dog babies. I don't have real babies because real babies are a pain in the ass and they got da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, and that, I don't need to go to Thanksgiving. I don't need to go to Christmas. I want to stay home. And I almost wish the boomerang effect would have hit harder going into the holidays than it really did with COVID. I really thought that people would push harder, especially after we all kind of saw the hysteria and how it was all lied. It was all lies. It was all make-believe. I really thought that we could come on the other side of this whole thing and go, never again. Never again will we ever go without each other. Never again will we let people go away. Never again will we never let ourselves get into that scenario of the government telling us what we can and cannot do. And so I would say that, hey, we come together and we want to do better. We want to be a community. And I thought, man, that's what we're going to see out of this, because we really saw the crime of not being together. We saw the crime of people dying in rest homes. Charlie, I'm going to tell you that Charlie declined because I couldn't visit him, because I couldn't be there like I was before. He wasn't getting any social interaction. Marge wasn't there to drive him crazy. He was all on his own, and it drove him crazy. And I'm sorry that it happened, and I didn't know what I could do, but it was a weird time, and people were really being edgy. And so watching him decline in that situation shows me that even, just the physical effect of not being around people actually makes us worse. And that's what we ought to think about. We ought to think about what that really showed us and what we should really think of as Christmas going forward. And what we think Christmas should be and how Christmas should look and how it should feel. And maybe it is uncomfortable. Maybe we don't want to talk to our cousins or nieces or aunts or that one crazy uncle or whatever it is. But we should all be opening our hearts and making sure that we're all together and doing what we can and that no one is alone on Christmas, even if they want to be alone. And I know that sounds crazy that, hey, whether you want to be alone or not, you should be with somebody. No, that's not, you don't get to be alone. You don't get to do life alone. You're not an island. You're not special. See, here's what the doing alone shit does. The alone thing is actually just a self-deprecation. It's actually a self-sacrifice. Oh, look, I'm alone for the holidays. Oh. There's no effort in being alone. Really, guys. But being alone is destructive to the soul and destructive to the heart. It's destructive of our energy. Being without people. See, the idea that people will choose to say, well, I want to do alone is because they don't want to put the effort into conversation. They don't want to put in the effort of being rejected, to risk something. In our society today in America, we are so risk adverse that I just watch people not even try. I have watched people at a sidewalk. Listen to me, guys. I don't care where a sidewalk's at. If I need to cross the street, I'm crossing the street. I know how to play Frogger. I've seen how it works. The frog dies if you don't play right. But I've seen people stand there at the button, at the crosswalk with the stripes and the lines and the sign up there and all the little seconds and all the street lights and a very, 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 very modern intersection. And because that, hey, Laurent, good to see you, man. Laurent, hey, man, I haven't seen Canadia. What's up there, Canadia? I haven't seen you in a minute, man. What's going on? But I have sat there and watched people not walk when it was completely obvious they could walk. Completely obvious it was safe. Completely obvious that they should go. But they stood there and stood there and stood there and stood there. And because the hand never went away, they just stood there. And they could have freely gone out on their day, but they would rather stand there at a light that's telling them how to obey, that doesn't give two shits about their existence, but they're going to obey that little bleak, 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 bleak. My point of that is that, guys, are we really that dumb that we will sit there and watch a machine tell us not to walk and when to walk when we know how to protect ourselves and make our own decisions of free will? Will we? Will we sit there and watch a mechanical thing called AI tell us that it knows best? Guys, I literally work with Gronk and other levels of Gronk, and I will tell you, I understand, Laurent. I hope you're feeling better. He says he is feeling better, but I hope you get better than that. But I've watched Gronk fail on 1,000 times. You know what I did? I wanted a meme, and I thought, you know what? Gronk can do this. I wanted a meme that I've seen on Facebook and Twitter or, whatever it is, and I wanted a meme that had Erica Kirk with her evil eyes all down like this going, you're not saying what I want. You need to stop, or stop, whatever it was that she said on Fox and Friends, which was really humiliating for her. She wasn't humiliated. I was humiliated for her. I don't think she saw what she should see. But I asked it to simply go find me that meme on the internet, and it said it would give me the screenshot of the eyes, but it would never give me the meme. It just gave me these two screenshots of the view of her going all over her hooded eyes. So, guys, you think that AI is running it? You think they're going to do better? Here's the problem. I don't think we realize how complex our little bit of fatty matter between our earlobes behind our eyes, which our eyes are part of our fat, but the idea that we don't realize how complicated it really is. And we can say we can build algorithms to it. That's cool. But can you actually be a human? None of the movies ever have said they could do it. Even the best of them, C-3PO, R2-D2. These are talking androids that walk around. Remember, C-3PO was actually a language expert, but yet couldn't talk worth a piss. But then again, guys, we think that this AI is going to run the world and we don't need human beings. Well, I'm getting oh, that's good. It says getting ready for church. But I don't think the AI is it. I believe that where we're going to see the future is people are going to say, no, I don't want to see it on CD or on Netflix and chill. I don't want to see it on the TV. I want to go and watch the person sweat it out on stage and sing me the songs. I want to see people screw up in plays and with the strings and all the smoke and all the things you can see, all the accoutrement that goes into production of a play, or a person talking to you in person, Jim Price coming to you to a venue so that you can see him and shake his hand and know he's real. See, that will be where we're going to see the actual true value is in the human being always. No matter how many trillions of dollars you spend on AI, no matter how many trillions of dollars you spend on whatever fiber optic satellite, doos, it doesn't matter. It always defaults to you. It defaults to the human experience. Because as many times as I say, well, I can't wait to see a robot run a track meet, I don't want to see a robot run a track meet. I've never said that, but I was being facetious. But we want to see human beings do human being stuff, superhuman stuff, doing record-breaking stuff, seeing how far they can go. I don't give two shits about I got a truck that's got some hundreds of horsepower. But I'd rather see my grandson play with his cars and trucks. I'd rather see my kids doing things together and being happy and enjoying each other's company. I don't care about what a truck can do by itself. I'm not impressed by a Tesla. Oh, it drives on its own. So I've driven back and forth to the east and west coast 5 times in that truck out there. That's something to see. I did it. I put the time in. I got in there and did the work. If the automaton Tesla, did it, well, then what is that? What am I? I'm just like an observer. I don't actually experience life. See, that's what supposedly we're trying to do with this whole AI of things. And supposedly it's what these robots is to, run the vacuum for me 5 minutes a day. But that's called a Zumba. Or whatever they call them now. Intrusive electronics for surveillance device that listens to your every word and then also scales and memorizes all of your house and sends it back to China. Not my words, their own. Just like Alexa can go ahead and use sonic abilities, its sonic ability to register the different rooms in your house, listen to all of your goings on, including your footsteps, your dog traffic, what you'd say to your dog, what you say to your friends on your phone. It's all part of the agreement. Just like Ring cameras are accessible by law enforcement. Just like flock cameras that are all over your country are accessible. But the point of it is, guys, is that I don't need a robot to go and vacuum my floors or wash the dishes. I already got a dishwasher. How much simpler can it be? Loading the dishwasher is the height of our experience as a human being now. It's about coming together. It's about being with each other, being there for each other, seeing each other, involving each other. Someone letting a fart at the table. That's the human experience. But to avoid each other and not be around each other, well, that's not it. That doesn't answer any of the questions. That doesn't make us better. And one of the things I will tell you, I've said it here 1,000 times, I will say that how do you make somebody unweird? You make them unweird by talking to them. Because you're going to learn something from them, but they're going to learn something from you. If you're the normal person in the room and you're trying to help them, just talking to them generally, just talking to them about the weather, talking to them about their dogs, they're going to find out that what they're saying doesn't really match what you say and how you say it. and then they'll step up their game. This is very true. This is called peer pressure. I didn't invent this shit, guys. I'm just pointing it out to you, what it really is and how easy it is. So in the peer pressure of things, we come together and we're better for each other, and we are an amazing species on this big blue marble. As I tell you these things, guys, and I talk about it, I really want you guys to see that it really is the human experience, that the only reason that we have a savior, right? The only reason we have holidays, the only reason we have this country, the only reason we have all these things. Hey, Nicole, thank you so much. She says, look at you, Santa-like. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Nicole, and you have a wonderful holiday, Christmas season, and New Year's. We'll get together here at the New Year and talk about some stuff going on and see if I can get caught up on my stuff, including writing that book as we have talked. So it'll be good. All right, so remember, guys, the idea that this world around us seems so heavily complicated. Well, it's only complicated because you're not involved. You know, things look difficult until you do them the first time. You ever cast a fishing pole? That's about the weirdest shit on earth. You let a little line out and you take it and you sling it over your head and you just like, yeah, I'm going to throw it way out there. And you guys believe that. You guys believe in that. Kathy Martinez, good to see you. Aloha, everybody. Kathy, are you in the Hawaiian Islands? Hawaii? But we don't even think about learning to cast a fishing pole. Think about the first person who put a fishing string or line on a reel and reeled it in and then threw it back out, what that was like. I mean, there are people that are they have these ocean poles that sit on the shore, and they're able to make them mothers sling like hundreds of yards out there and do an amazing feat. I'm like, wow, that's breathtaking. But my point is that you don't know how easy life can be until you actually get involved. Until you're out there doing what you should do. You don't know. I'm like, oh no, it's so hard. Hey, Kathy Martinez, well, I don't remember seeing my airline invite. Did I not see that ticket on my... Boy, Kathy, I tell you, boy, that's kind of one-sided. You're all out there in Hawaii, and I'm here in Kansas. I don't know. It seems like there's a math problem here. No, I'm just kidding you, Kathy. I would love to be there, but I want to be here even greater. Grandkids will be here in the morning, and it'll be a whole thing. So anyway, when you get yourself involved in life, when you actually put the effort in life, you'll find out that that's actually not as hard as you thought. And the one thing I learned early on in my life is that we make more excuses and spend more time making the excuses than the actual task would have ever taken. Oh, I don't want to sweep the floor. I can't imagine doing that. Oh, that's so. I don't even know where the broom is at. What do I do with the dust when all this stuff? Or just go sweep the kitchen. I don't like running the vacuum cleaner. I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to take the trash out. Taking the trash out, really, guys? As I've gotten older, I actually looking forward to taking the trash out more often because I just don't want trash in my house. If that thing's a little over half full, I'm going to take her. I'm out. We're going outside. So I'd rather have more trash bags than too much trash in my house. But that also is kind of how we look at our lives, don't we? We kind of stack it up. We kind of pile it up. We're not real good about taking our trash out. Maybe that's a metaphor in there somewhere. Maybe we could do better for each other. Maybe we could be that little extra. Maybe we take the trash out more often and we feel better about everything around us. It's a possibility. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Says, good afternoon, Senor AT. Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being over on Rumble. Remember, like, share, and comment. Share that out on that Rumble if you would, brother. I appreciate it over there. We got to get some traction on this show. There's a lot of things out there. I see what we're getting. We're getting about 150,000 views a month on average, and that's pretty good. Or no, I'm sorry, 150,000. We have 150,000 followers. Is what I have. Unique followers. So from the different platforms, I have 150,000 unique followers. And then my viewership is in, I guess it's millions or so, a few million here or there, cumulatively over the month. But I do have, I'm getting back some of those numbers, 150,000 unique followers on the different platforms, which I do appreciate those. So thank you, everybody. And that's kind of a deal for me to kind of get back to that. I appreciate that I'm starting to get there again. But we also need to like and share and comment and break this algorithm. We'll see what Twitter does after the first of the year. So, and also, TikTok is supposed to be owned by America now. Finally, that closing date happened a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago. And let's see if that changes TikTok's algorithm, or if they keep censoring us the way they have been. See, TikTok is a lot like Facebook during COVID. It still kind of sucks. But nobody can tell you why certain things are allowed and certain things aren't. They'll just say, well, this is what violates. And then you go, no, I didn't. And then they'll go, oh, yeah, we're sorry. Well, then why'd you do it to begin with? That's what TikTok does a lot. There's a lot of I'm sorries. Oh, we'll take that. Oh, yeah, we'll put that back. But again, what's on the back side of that algorithm that now dinks you for, having posted stuff they had to take down or you had to appeal? See, that's the other thing, too, is it's always about if you have an arrest record, that's just as bad as convictions, guys. Do you know arrest records are almost considered to be more accurate or more telling of your personality than your conviction rate or conviction record? Yeah, that's a thing. So a lot of times it's not always about how many times they got those check marks to stick. But in reality, it has more to do with the amount of infractions you've had where they've had to undo it. Every time you got the arrest, every time you got the strike, those are all accumulated on the backside. What they show you? Come on, guys. Come on. Well, anyway, guys, it's been great seeing you. I am going to call it a day on a half-hour show. And today I just wanted to let you know that everybody's important, including yourself. Don't discount yourself, who you are. And how you act and react defines you, not others. So if you want to be the superhero, then be the superhero. If you want to be the person who works harder than everybody else, then be that person. If you want to be stronger, taller, faster, smarter, whatever it is, put the god dang work into it. There is no such thing as just, people are like, well, how do you remember all that? Because I work my ass off on it. I work my ass off to remember the things I remember, that I can sit here and just do shows from my memory. That I can remember facts about science and biblical and all the other stuff. Guys, I put the work in because it is necessary to do this in a good way. And so put the work into life. Put the work into yourself. Fix your hair a little bit. Put some clothes on. Be on time. Be early. Watch what happens to your whole world if you start getting early. If you start getting to everything early, 10, 15 minutes early, everything changes. Oh, I know. That just means I have to get ready 10 minutes early. You need to move your clock up 10 minutes. That's just a big sacrifice you're not willing to do. Are you 12? Are you 3? Are you what? Booger eater here? What are we talking about? Show up early to everything in your life and find out how your life changes. Do your best to always greet people kindly, even if you don't know them. Give them a Merry Christmas. Give them a Happy New Year. Give them a whatever it is. Hey, how's your day going? You have a good day, man. Thanks for being here. And you don't know them from shit from Shinola, but you're there. And they're there, and you greeted them. But put the work in. Show up early and tell me how your life changes. Stand up and be more honest and tell me how your life changes. Be more honest with yourself and tell me how your life changes. I didn't say be cruel. I didn't say go out of your way to be vindictive or somehow tear two people down. But when asked the question, give a direct answer. That's it. And when someone is asking you for information or your opinion, then give them the honest opinion. Don't shine it up and shine, Joe Dirt it up there, Joe Dirtay. No, just give them the truth and see how your life changes. It'll be hard on you because you're used to the lying and you're used to the ego. You're used to leaving it out. But what happens when we all start being honest with each other? The world becomes a better place. We all hate the evil in our world. Well, why don't we start with that little bitty thing that we do to ourselves first? How we abuse ourselves first and not being honest and authentic in who we are. And if we really want to talk about the reason for the season, we all say, well, this is because of Jesus' birth, but we know that happened in September, and we know this is about a new Baal worship to going into the new sun on the 22nd of this year. 21st was the shortest day. The new sun arrived on December 22nd. But this is a way of getting everybody to land on a date that way we could all say, well, we're going to do all the Christmas stuff and all these fall festivals all at the exact same time. And now we'll just call it all Christmas. That's how lazy we are. We can't have individual festivals. We can't have individuals who have their own ways of celebrating certain things. No, we got to cram it all into one box. And for what reason? Just because we're lazy about it. That's it. That's really what it boils down to. It's just because we're lazy about it. But that's all right. We can do better. And here's the thing about it. That's what's crazy, guys. What's crazy is you can do better. You can just do better. Then that's it. So if we're already down here at the bottom, if we're already down here where it sucks, if we're already down here way at the bottom, we're not doing as good as we should, then everything is up. Your amount of success is considerably higher than 100% because you're at the bottom. So 1% is 100% of a victory. Hello, right? And each time you push into that success, yes, the margin gets smaller the more you're successful, but by God, start somewhere. But I do appreciate everybody being out there and being a part of the show and what we've done for each other. I wish that we could do more. I wish I could do more. I'd love to have you guys over to a big old barn of mine and hanging out, and we're having turkeys and everybody's hanging out, riding the four-wheelers and the dirt bikes, and we got the side-by-sides going and some RC cars, and we got a whole bunch of this and that, and the fire's roaring because you know what? Why not? And maybe you didn't have anywhere else to go, but you could go to my place. And that's what we should say to each other every single day. Being better than the day before. Remember that? Your future is a reflection, like I'm holding a mirror. Your future is a reflection of your heart now. Make sure your heart's in the right place every single day, being better than the day before. Too many times we think it's too hard to put in effort. But if you're at 0 effort, 1% effort looks amazing. 2%, 10%. If 8 billion people woke up tomorrow and did 10% nicer for the world around them, 10% more peace, 10% just being outwardly giving, 10% tomorrow, we wouldn't know what this world is anymore. We would be floored by the love and the positive energies that we would all feel at that very moment, because we're such at a negative right now. We're at such a 0 right now. Everybody's in such a suck to get mine, get me, get mine first, that if we did 10% in a positive way towards everybody on earth, all 8 billion all decide to go in one direction of just 10% of kindness. It would be so breathtaking. We would all just weep with joy. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. That's the world we live in. We can make it a better place just because we want to. And that's all hard it is. Just do it, guys. All right, well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy... Just, goddamn, be happy. Oh, wow, that's so damn hard. Why is it so hard? I wish I had like a studio on it so I could kind of reflect back and you're like, yeah, and I get the head now. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, guys. Light will always push back darkness. Darkness cannot push back light. The more light in your heart, the greater the world is, because you're pushing back the dark, and that means other people will share in your light. And maybe they'll turn their light on. Maybe they'll start burning their light a little brighter, and then someone else will be encapsulated in that light because they were in the darkness before, and it doesn't take much, guys. It becomes like a mind virus. We're all just nicer to each other. We're all just better to each other. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everything you guys do for me, and it's been an amazing year. I will be here Monday and Tuesday of next week, and that will be all for the year until the coming week after that. So Monday, Tuesday, I'll be back to it. But, guys, I want you to think about each other and think of others before you think of yourself, and the world becomes a lot better place instantaneously. Because if you're thinking of others and others are thinking of you, your needs will always be taken care of. See how that works? If you selflessly give to others, and they are selflessly giving to others, you're going to get it. You're going to get taken care of. Things are going to be amazing. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Remember that what the 10% we do for our neighbor, our community, our city, our county, our state, our federal government, the more you do for them, the less they have to do for you. Learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish. The world would be a far, far better place. Remember, hold the line, hold fast, do not give up, do not give in. We'll win. I promise. I make promise I can't keep. Guys, you've always been the answer out there. Never, ever, ever forget that. That Constitution limits that government with the badge and the gun. But too many times we've let these judges and others run wild without any checks and balances. But your Constitution says you are the owner. You own this country, and they are beholden to you as a servant would be, as if you own their literal soul, because that's what they said they were willing to do, is to be under your command, and you don't play the game the way it's supposed to be played. So don't be mad when they don't treat you like you should. All right, guys, that's about it for me. I'm going to be, what do we got here? Ken Reason, good to see you. It's Jimmy Claus or Santa Price. Merry Christmas to you, man. Hey, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I do need to get going, and it's great to see all of you guys. So thank you so much for being a part of the show. Remember, guys, the reason in the season is actually you. Because when you become more authentic and you become more you, you'll find your creator, you'll find your God, and you will find your peace and your salvation. But when you want to go run to a steeple, when you want to go and run to something that's not Jesus, and you sit around and go, where is Jesus? Why am I not finding it? Why do I see the hypocrites? Well, you're in the same place the hypocrites are. Let's all think about whether we should be more honest with ourselves and find our own community and find where we need to be and be better for the world around us. All right, guys, that's about it for me. I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be good to each other out there. Merry Christmas. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.
And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ann Vanderstill. It is 1 o'clock on Friday, and we are still in the war zone here on Steel News. Got a really interesting show for you today. For those of you in the MMTLP community, I know a lot of you are live right now on a space with my good friend, Dr. Jane Ruby. And thank you so much, Jane, for stepping in and also lifting up this message, what's happening with the full-on agency corruption, the war against we the people. We've got another story today, and it's more, it looks like more agency corruption. But before we begin, it's important to establish context clearly and carefully, because the story of Michael Castellero is of a man who is a former securities professional, and he's one of the principals behind Straight Path Venture Partners, a private investment firm that operated in the pre-IPO market. His firm marketed access to shares in private companies such as Palantir and Airbnb before those companies went public. And in 2022, the Securities and Exchange Commission filed a civil enforcement action against Straight Path and its principals, alleging violations of federal securities law. The action resulted in an emergency asset freeze and the appointment of a court-ordered receiver to take control of the firm. Following that civil case, the Department of Justice brought criminal charges in the Southern District of New York, and we all know just how corrupt that district is. And in November, a federal jury convicted Mr. Castellero and two of his co-defendants on multiple counts, including securities fraud, wire fraud, and investment advisor fraud. Sentencing is pending. I believe it's March coming up next year. Mr. Castellero disputes the government's narrative. He claims that his investors were profitable before the government intervention and that his firm cooperated voluntarily with the regulators and that the receivership, not fraud, caused the investor harm. And if there's anything we're learning is that a lot of times our government goes out and stakes claims, makes claims, puts press releases out, which does harm to stocks. And then the real pain begins. Mr. Castellero also further alleges that his cooperation was weaponized against him and that his prosecution reflects systemic misconduct within the SEC and the Southern District of New York. A pardon application has been submitted through counsel Peter Tickton. So, folks, these are really serious allegations. They're claims, they're not findings yet, and they exist alongside a jury conviction, which, again, consider the context of the SDNY, sort of like trying to get a fair jury in Washington, D.C., and, of course, an extensive public record that would say otherwise. So today's purpose is not to relitigate a case through emotion or politics. It's not to act like a megaphone for any narrative. The purpose is determined whether or not these claims supported by evidence or whether what we're seeing is a plea for clemency rather than a true story, because, of course, the distinction matters. And here on Steel News, we always take the receipts, we show them as best we can, and then, of course, we come to some conclusions. A lot of times you guys have been really helpful in that. But what I'm hearing are such similar parallels to another story with the MMTLP that you have to start to look at the bigger picture. So right now joining me is Michael Castellero. Michael, it is great to have you here on Steel News. You know, you've heard me talk about MMTLP. You reached out to me because you said, hey, I'm a victim too. And your story is very compelling. I haven't seen all the receipts, and I want to make sure that the audience is aware of that. So the fact that Trennis Evans and Peter Tickton are coming alongside you and putting in that pardon application for President Trump is very compelling. And that's the reason I'm talking to you today. So I just want to be very clear about that.
Thank you for that. And Trennis and Peter did extensive, I think they did 2 or 3 months of due diligence on my case and even spoke to current counsel that was our lawyers in the case to make sure that they were leading us in the right direction on that, because Peter's not going to put his name on something if he doesn't believe in it.
Agree. And that's, again, a very compelling reason to look at this case and very seriously that, again, you know, from what the conversation we have, and I want to run through just the highlights of that. We're going to bring Trennis Evans in here in a minute. He's actually out at AmFest in Phoenix. So I appreciate him taking time to join us on this because this is an important story. And as I continue to develop the MMTLP story, which is absolutely massive, I spent 3 hours on a Zoom yesterday and I saw the evidence that absolutely confirms the fraud, the collusion between agencies to take down a company for the profit and the profiteering of, you know, bankers and hedge funds, et cetera, people that were market makers that, shorted the stock. And then, of course, left the bag, the real investors, the 100,000 or so people holding the bag. So this is really an evidentiary interview. I try not to make it promotional. I want people to understand your story. So can you tell us the exact charges you were convicted of and of the date of the conviction?
November 4th, 2025. They convicted me of 2 counts of obstruction of justice, which are laughable because we voluntarily gave them information, and 4 counts of investment advisor wire fraud. You know, I mean, my lawyer says they want to put me away for 25 years. Was this a jury verdict or was it a plea? It was a jury verdict that Judge Jesse Furman changed at the last second. He changed, and when the charging instructions came through, he basically threw a wrench at the last second, tried them as investment advisors, which we clearly weren't. We were a pre-IPO fund, an exempt reporting advisor. And he basically drew that wrench right in there. And once you tell them to charge us as investment advisors, obviously they're going to go with that route. It took them like 4 hours. Right. To come with that, you know, it's the judge was basically a fourth lawyer for the prosecution. You know, it was always 15 days of court. I'm telling you right now, we won every day. In experts that they paid, probably anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million of taxpayer money wasted on them. They were leaving with their tails between their legs. FINRA professionals, which had no business being there, you know, being paid for the day. And, you know, everybody, we won every single day. And at the last second, they just twisted everything around.
All right. So you've said you voluntarily cooperated. When did you first really begin giving them everything they were requesting?
I mean, since the company was an exception, we've always given them everything, right? So under the eyes of the SEC, we're what's called an exempt reporting advisor.
Right.
So let's say they just want to know that basically we're doing good business, and you know, if we buy 100 shares of something, we only sell 100 shares of something. But we were, being that my partner had 35 years compliance experience with brokerage firms, she decided to give them 10 things. So being that she gave that and ultra compliant, because we were doing business with a lot of boutique broker dealers that wanted our product, it became something that in 2021, they turned all our voluntary information into a case against us.
Right. Did you sign a proffer or a cooperation agreement?
Yes, when they threatened to denaturalize me as an American citizen.
Wow. Was that agreement in writing?
Yeah, but I refused to sign it at the end because they lied to me. The DOJ lied to me.
All right. Tell us about that lie, because I think that's really critical. And I'm going to bring Trennis in here in a second.
They brought me in, so they threatened me to cooperate against my two business partners at the time. Mm-hmm. I said, why? We've done nothing wrong. And my lawyer at the time says, oh, Judge Furman can't wait to put you in jail. And I go, what? What are you talking about? And being that President Trump came in, we're looking to use some of those denaturalization laws. They know that you came here and legally, and when you were 18, became an American citizen, and they're looking into denaturalizing you. And I was like, what? I go, I got a wife and 2 kids. You're going to deport me now over this? So they brought me in. I did what I had to do. And they promised me something, and they promised me I would be removed off the case, I'd be done, and I could go live my life, which is what I wanted at that point. It's been 4 years. Right. And at the end, oh, no, you got to sign the forfeiture of everything that you own. Oh, okay. I said, you can tell them I'll see them in court. So they lied to me to try to get information out of me, which they couldn't.
Right. All right. I'm going to bring Trennis in here. Trennis, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're out in AmFest in Phoenix. I'm sure that's a really exciting place at the moment. You've been running alongside with Michael on this story, and Peter Tickton. You and Peter worked closely together. You've been doing incredible work around the J6 pardon community. From where you're sitting, how are you assessing this situation right now with respect to the agency and the takedown of Michael's company?
Well, I want to first say that Mr. Castellero is sharing Michael here as a friend of ours for sure at this time. We've come to know Michael. We're very compassionate about the case and what we've uncovered here. And I want to note that Mr. Castellero's statements previously are relevant to the fact of the information that was shared to him by his attorneys, by his legal counsel, by Mr. Tickton, myself, and others. That I'm not the legal counsel, to be clear. I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to be very clear about that. I'm not trying to pretend to be one, but I am a paralegal and I do quite a bit of work. So what we have to understand about Mr. Castellero's case is he's a victim, and these aren't co-defendants. They're other victims that are really in this matter, and that's the reality, and that's how his attorneys see the matter. It's how we see the matter, and this is what's been shared with Mr. Castellero. So the statements that he's making are likely formed based on the idea of what's been shared with him. And it really is on face value. One can see this. And even the judge, I will remind everybody watching that the judge stated that Mr. Castellero, by what they did to him at sentencing by jury instruction, which, was long established. I told him, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till the jury instructions come, sir.
Right.
And we had that discussion, and sure enough, it was as we suspected, that the judge put them into a categorically false arena and pushed them into this siphon, if you will, that made the jury convict them on these matters. And this is what happens when you have people that are improperly making claim in the court, whether it be an officer of the court as an attorney, or if it is the judge himself. And the judge actually recognized his own flawed evaluation of this matter and said it was creating an appealable issue. So I think that's specifically what Mr. Castellero is speaking to. And be very clear, Ann, and to your audience, as you have to understand what happens, and what we've uncovered was we review quite a number of these SEC cases and so-called violations. What we find is that time and time again, a receiver is appointed, right? And this is a legal term. The receiver is appointed, and they're supposed to manage this company, get it on its feet, make it whole or solvent or not solvent, whatever the case may be. There's a couple of directions. They can either take a company through the bankruptcy process. In Mr. Castellero case, Mr. Martinson, Ms. And Fran, et cetera, what they've done in this case is similar to what we see happening elsewhere with the SEC. And what they do is they find something that's not really a crime, and then they look at it that maybe at the very best would be a typical SEC fine. But what happened is the government took the position that this was a Ponzi scheme. They released this information publicly. Then they determined, oh, there is no Ponzi scheme here. So they had to hunt down some other element to charge these men and women with. And what they did then is, now you're talking about disclosures, and these are the fine print pages that you see behind. Mr. Castellero and his team worked very diligently with, I believe it was the number 2 firm that does Wall Street work, that advises companies that are similar in nature to Mr. Castellero's company. And they had what they called the proper disclosures. And it says, consult your financial advisor, consult your legal counsel, et cetera, et cetera. Because we are not these things. Everyone knows that they're not. The idea that they're unregistered broker dealer, that's right. They don't have to have a license for doing what they do. They're essentially salesperson with a product, and we have this opportunity. You can purchase this. Here it is. Make an informed decision. Consult the people that should give you information, financial advisors and attorneys. And at that time, once you've made an informed decision, we'll be here and we can have said discussion about your investment. And that's what these people did. The defendants here, as they're called by the government, again, victims of the full force of the federal government. And we were going to get into how this ties to Arctic frost and the effort to destroy conservatives, et cetera. But the reality here is what's happened now. Then they placed them in this box. The DOJ or the SEC has themselves kind of in a bad position because they've made this false accusation. And what would have happened is Mr. Castellero and team would have sued the SEC and other organizations and had a large net gain from that, is our position. So what they did is then they find something in the disclosures that they don't like, that change from administration to administration, and suggest now that we've committed a crime. Oh, here it is. Sorry, we were wrong about the whole reason we started this. But it's worse than that, Ann. And here's how it's worse. These receivers, like Mr. Castellero had mentioned, and these are factual numbers, they spend tens of millions of dollars to review the exact same information that's already been reviewed by the SEC. And who is that? Somebody of the receiver. And these are the judges, right? Former judges and AUSAs. So what we have is a big club called the SEC that operates under SDNY, the United States Attorney's Office, their district attorney's office. And they penalize, destroy, target, and not in any specific order, individuals like Mr. Castellero and the venture company here. So Straight Path was operating a legal operation, not doing anything wrong. But what they did is they found something, 3 felonies a day. We've all read the book, or we understand the terminology and talking points, that they said, oh, in order to cover our tracks for what we've done to these people in the destruction of the company, we're going to now charge them with these alleged crimes. And we're going to try and fit a square peg in a round hole in the government. It's much which relates to like 1512, obstruction of Congress, as you saw with January 6th. And the idea that we could remove a president from the ballot in Colorado with the Norma Jean Anderson case. Same mentality by leftist rabid dogs that attempt to destroy American citizens. Finally, these people line their pockets and experience great wealth in this wonderful club of the world of receivers and investigators as they destroy these people, like Mr. Castellero. Additionally, I want it known, and it should be heard, that defendants, here as they're called, the people that actually purchase these products, would have made mass profits on this by not illegal or insider trading, but totally legal trades. And they would have made mass profits on this. But when the government stepped in, the government has squeezed all of the profit and all of the money out to where these defendants are getting pennies on the dollar of their original investment instead of, just in cases, 2 to 4 times what their expectation was of profit or gain. So this is the disturbing, ongoing mastermind scheme that has taken place in the financial sector. And it's one of the things that President Trump tried to put an end to back in his first term. We think because these people are operating in consistent, straight path, operated consistently with the efforts of the president to loosen things, to make things move, to build a stronger economy, to give opportunity not only to the big banks, but to the little guy like Mr. Castellero. And they delivered to American people making a lot of money. And now these people are just as damaged, but it wasn't by Mr. Castellero's action. It was by the actions of the federal government.
Right. And the bad press that is all over the internet when you put his name in, it's everywhere, which is a common theme that we see when it comes to takedowns of companies, right? Michael, at the time you sold pre-IPO interests, did you own or control the shares?
Yes.
Okay. And go ahead.
We had 6.5 million shares of Palantir when it went public. We had a massive amount. Our second largest position was Airbnb, SoFi. I mean, household unicorn names.
So you weren't selling shares you didn't own. You weren't borrowing money to sell naked shorts, essentially.
Never.
Okay. Because the SEC alleges there's a share deficit. So you dispute that. What proof have you offered the SEC to prove that you weren't selling naked shares?
They have everything. They've always had everything. What happened is they tried to cause a shortage by not allowing us to pay stock at the end when they tried to take the company from us. And when we paid for stock, technically, actually, we paid I think it was about a $4 million contract that we paid for. And then Brian, my partner, went to pay for another contract. Mm-hmm. They were trying to block us from paying that because they wanted to create that narrative. So, again, the SEC should always issue corrective action if they find a mistake somewhere. They never did. They said that it was a 4-year emergency shutdown. I don't know what emergency takes 4 years to come through. Right? And
exactly.
It's a change administration emergency.
Right.
And
how many investor complaints existed before this government intervention when they claimed there was an emergency and shut down the stock trading?
0.
Right. Again, so from where I'm sitting, and again, this is just sort of waxing poetically here, if you will. This smells like a government setup designed, with agency collusion to destroy a business, to get a scalp because, or through a plea agreement, right? Because that's how 97% of the cases, Trent has hold me accountable on this, 97% of the cases are won by the FBI DOJ because they ascertain they get a plea agreement. It's not necessarily a win. They just get people so intimidated, they get a plea agreement. You've lawyered up. You've got President Trump's attorney. President Trump's stock, TMTG, was also targeted in the same sort of by naked short sellers, and they really drove that stock price down. Devin Nunes wrote a letter about this. Trennis, maybe you can sort of draw some comparisons to what happened with President Trump's stock and what Michael Castellero is experiencing at the hands of agency that potentially is very corrupt here.
There's very distinct parallels that fit this, and you find it not only with this case, but we have interviewed and discussed and have 7 other cases that we're finding great similarity to this matter that I find highly concerning, that I'm aware of these, that we have now uncovered. Essentially, as far as I'm concerned, the SEC and SDNY are nothing more than a new version of the mob. Like basically you pay us for protection, the big banks, and what they do is they protect big banks and interest from people like Mr. Castellero, the little guy entering the market and having an opportunity. That's what it's really going on here. In addition to that, I wanted to make note that Mr. Castellero, being a member of one of the Trump clubs, if you look at this sweeping indictment and the charging and the efforts that were done by the Jack Smith investigation, you quickly find that anyone that was a conservative, including the U.S. senators, now they're all whining and gawking and asking for $500,000 just for their phones being tapped. They haven't been criminally charged. They haven't been through a prosecution. They haven't been dragged through the ringer, but it was coming for them. I think now that's part of the motivation. By the way, I'm going to mention that we see now with the idea that they're suddenly interested in getting President Trump's confirmations through at light speed here in the final year, essentially after nearly of this administration, because they've now realized what's coming for them and they have to make some bold actions here. But more importantly, Arctic Frost had an opportunity. It was a dragnet style investigation to take on any conservative, and they wanted to cut and chop out the financial legs of anyone that would associate with President Trump, MAGA, the Trump administration, the Trump organizations, fundraising, et cetera, et cetera. I stood in the room at AmFest yesterday. I had numerous other people approach me yesterday telling me similar stories to Mr. Castelleros, how they came after their financial interests. And these things are just, I mean, it's erupting. We're getting more and more of these cases. We're hearing more and more of these stories. And this was the sweeping dragnet by Jack Smith. This man, we track him all the way back to Arkansas State Senator John Wood, that you and I have talked about before, Ann, that this is what they do. It's a playbook, right?
Yep.
And it's a well-established one. Jack Smith maybe didn't create or invent the idea, but he certainly has laid claim to perfecting the unlawful targeting of individuals. And in creating this, and those are the lackeys or those that follow this will take on this form of a hydra, if you will, because now it has so many heads that operate with this ideology to destroy what they call the MAGA cult, right?
Right. So, Michael, let's talk about the receivership aspect of this, because when companies go into receivership, you've got the receivers that manage it, and there's fees associated with that. So let's start with the obvious question here. What was the asset value at the time of the receivership takeover of your company? Oh, I have him muted. 1 second, Michael. 1 second. I apologize. I had to mute you because there was some background noise. I think you have your speakers up too loud and it's feeding back through your microphone.
I believe it's in the $200 to $300 million number.
Okay. Did you file any formal objections to the receiver's conduct in court?
I believe so. Our receiver actually the SDNY backdoored through the receiver to use our attorney-client privilege against us in the criminal trial. So Judge Lewis Kaplan, which we know very famously of the President Trump's E. Jean Carroll case, found a way to backdoor our attorney-client privilege, and basically we had none.
Okay. If the receivership was corrupt, do you have a paper trail to prove any corruption in the receivership? Because you're talking about judicial and prosecutorial misconduct. You've named Judges Kaplan, who you just said, and Furman. So were there any motions filed for recusal or misconduct in this case?
I believe our counsel was filing a lot of that too. We also we're also unhappy about. So when they said there was a quote unquote shortage, we gave them enough to cover their own quote unquote shortage and say, okay, buy the shares. They never did. They just, you know what they did? They took that money and they created fees so that money would go into their pockets.
Right.
The receiver has 200 some odd complaints. You pulled up the receiver's website. I think it has about 240 complaints against them. And they're creating investor losses, even though companies are going public. Just for example, right? SpaceX filed to go public last week or a week and a half ago. And we bought it at a $200 million valuation. I believe in the private markets, it was trading at an $800 million valuation. So that's a 4X for the customers if it went public today, let's say.
Right.
And the receiver actually found a way to generate a loss because they need to pay themselves, and they're giving the customers pennies on the dollar and they're not really delivering what they're supposed to do, because they need a way to generate fees for themselves. I think
Right.
the receivers made north of 20 million.
Wow.
Since
And in how long a time?
4 years. So
That's
a Ponzi
incredible.
scheme that's still operating and it's still generating revenue, right? How many Ponzi schemes have you heard of that? 4 years after the fact, it's still working.
It's still working. Yeah. The only Ponzi scheme I know of is the federal government. If that's a fact. I mean, we could start with Social Security and move on down from there. Did you file any Rule 29 motions for acquittal or Rule 33 motions for a new trial by any chance?
We're going to file for an appeal right at sentencing, I believe. That's the way my counsel's looking to file. We're filing a couple of motions, I believe.
Okay. Since you're appealing, was there evidence that you believe the jury never saw?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They withheld probably from jury selection on down was a total sham. I mean, we were out of the 37 jurors, they had the jurors that got stricken from the record immediately. There was a lady that she knew about pre-IPO. They didn't want her there, obviously. They had a financial advisor. They had a financial attorney. They had a CPA. Those are the people that obviously the prosecution did not want there. So
go ahead.
All the way across, it's been just hoodwinked and a sham. Is just basically they create a truth. They'll look at 500 words, cherry pick 3 of them, make that their own truth, and I just can't take it anymore. I'm just fed up. I'm frustrated. Because if they're doing it to me, how many other millions of people do we not know that they're doing it to?
Well, I'm glad you raised that point, because as we're live right now, so yes, Santa Claus versus Scrooge fantasy over in X, we are live. And I see a lot of our friends from the MMTLP community are in the chat right now. They're sharing the show out. They're watching because they know I'm covering what happened to those people. 100,000 of them got absolutely left holding the bag when the government did a U3 halt on a stock ticker that was never supposed to be trading. It was a placeholder stock ticker for a dividend payment in a reverse merger. And these folks were told the stock would be stopped trading on a certain date, and the government halted the stock 2 days before. And so anybody that was trying to get out or do whatever was basically eliminated from being able to pursue their action plan. And the government has, cost people their lives, their fortunes, their families. Some people, veterans, I understand, have committed suicide over this. This lives destroyed. And the community, as I'm getting to know them, is nothing but miraculously standing up still 3 years later, strong. They have a real sense of, family and spirit amongst themselves, and they've helped themselves to continue to push this story. Because when you start to look at how many people were impacted and the amount of money we're talking about, when the stock was oversold and oversubscribed by maybe even 13x, this could be bigger than Enron. It could be bigger than Madoff. I mean, it's a monster story, and it's getting the attention of people like Charles Payne and others. Other people have talked about the story in the past. So what your story reflects to me is, again, the continuation of agency fraud at the expense of we the people. Trennis, I know that you guys are, asking the public to review evidence, and you're doing a media campaign to get the court of public opinion. What's the legal basis for the pardon application? Simply put.
The legal basis for the pardon application is going to be quite clear, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Tickton and his choices, but let's be clear on several of the aspects here. One, we know that because of the Arctic Frost indictments, we had the suspicion all along. We were working this case long before Arctic Frost hit the table. When we were able to see the strong parallels and the leadership effort that took place within the DOJ, SEC, and interagency coordinations to target conservatives at the Arctic Frost level and anything attached to Trump. And then very obvious, as Mr. Castellero has attachments there in a loosely formed by being a member of Mar-a-Lago club, one of the Trump clubs. these matters, right? It's very clear that there was a target painted on the back of anyone. This was a seek and destroy mission. We didn't have to have evidence. So we didn't have to have a complaint. We don't even know why we're looking. We're going to open the books. We're going to assert a crime to destroy the business. When that doesn't work because people are making money and it's all going well, then we have to, and we're caught with our hand in the cookie jar is what happened to the SEC. Then they have to turn on their nose. So these legal principles in this would be, I believe that there's going to be concepts here to go along with wrongful prosecution. There's going to be matters of deprivation of constitutional rights. There's going to additionally be concepts that have to do with fraud, fraudulent concealment, ethics violations, et cetera, that took place at the SEC and DOJ level from SDNY. And here's all we're asking. We just asked the DOJ. We asked President Trump, not only do we need to pardon Mr. Castellaro, not only do we need to pardon these people, the associates here that created this wonderful company that was a benefit and a boon to those that invested. We need a meaningful investigation into the actions of these receivers. We need a meaningful investigation into what this whole program is, because it was designed to help and protect the public. And right now it's taken a juxtaposition. It's doing anything but. It's the antithesis of helping and protecting the public. It is the destroyer of public value and trust, and it has now become weaponized to take on people like Mr. Castellaro and Straight Path.
So is this really designed to be more like General Flynn's pardon of innocence? Because if he's done nothing wrong and he's not guilty, would this not be better framed as a pardon of innocence than just a pardon? Because a lot of times when you just say pardon, it's because they were considered guilty and the president showing mercy.
And if I may, so if President Trump and his team and the worthy people at the Department of Justice will take a close look at this, and I believe anyone that's an attorney, you don't have to be an attorney to look at this and understand the facts. It's very simple. We're talking in terminology here a lot, but it's very complex. Essentially, the bad guys went after the good guys because of their political affiliation. Period.
Right.
The end. That's the starting point, right? Secondly, we have a concept here that if Mr. Castellaro has sentencing coming around in just a few months, right?
March 6th, I believe.
If he were to receive the pardon, as well as the other participants here, the other founders of this wonderful company that was a meaningful opportunity for so many Americans, if they receive a pardon prior to that, then the criminal conviction becomes dismissed. It is not in stone. It's not etched in stone until the sentencing date is, and you well know. So we're urging President Trump to get the pardon out first, but that's not, it should not stop there. There should be an investigation into these receivers, into these individuals, into the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office. I know there's good people there. I know that there's people there that don't take part in these kinds of things. And I know that leadership there probably has no concept that this even happens and has to believe that their team and staff are operating above board and doing good things. In this case, it's another case where we're certain of that. It's absolutely not what's happening.
Right. Michael, if my audience reviewed the full SEC and the full DOJ record alongside the claims that you've stated here, are you confident that those documents would tell the same story you've told here?
I believe so, because math never lies. Right? I mean, the numbers
Math
never
is
lie.
math.
The math never lies. And that's the thing I've always said. I've always said from day one, the numbers will always set us free.
Right.
2 + 2 is 4. That's it. There's no other way to redo it. And we've always said we had the shares, we delivered them. They're claiming a lot of the money that we made. Yeah, we made them after the companies were public. Our fund was incentivized all the way across. We went out to some markup, but truly 20% of what the profit the customers made, we were allowed to take. It was disclosed. It's standard fund practice, reviewed by multiple attorneys. It's unreal what they've done. And they've done it with the best interest of the 2,200 people that they're pulling the fast one on.
Incredible. Gentlemen, you have your work cut out for you. I mean, the government has an unlimited purse. They've got the power of the purse. It's unlimited. It just goes on. And for some reason, we keep giving them the ability to print that money. I'm just wondering how much longer we are until we get into that almighty alter and abolish moment that's right in the Declaration of Independence at the front of my Constitution, because from where I'm sitting, none of these agencies are legitimate. They're not listed anywhere in the Constitution. They've become unelected bureaucrat tyrants. They make up the rules. They're ignoring the Chevron doctrine that was overturned in the Loper Bright case in the Supreme Court. They're ignoring the fact that they don't have the ability to make the laws and govern and rule on the laws themselves. They're just a guidepost, and now they're turned into the big bullies that come after the little guy and steal your lunch so that they can resell it on their end, receivership, and make lots and lots of money. It's just really a crazy situation that, we find ourselves in, that one of these days the hunters are going to become the hunted. And I think that tide is turning, but it's going to take a mass public awareness campaign and court of public opinion to turn that around. So, gentlemen, I appreciate the fact that you came here to tell your story. Is there anything you want to say in closing, Trennis?
I would like to say that Mr. Castellero and this whole thing with Mr. Martinson has been an atrocious miscarriage, misuse, and a misapplication of our laws. It has been a witch hunt, an attack, and a destructive force that operated in the lives of good Americans. And the fallout happens well below the individuals here that created a worthy and good company that operated in good standing, that nobody had a problem with until the Biden era weaponized administration came along with the ideology that was pushed forward by none other than Jack Smith. Right. These people must be stopped. They must be held accountable. And this is what we say when we're talking about the hunter becoming the hunted. We're not talking about, we aren't doing it ourselves. We're not raising up arms. We're not getting our torches and pitchforks.
Nope.
But metaphorically, torches and pitchforks time, people. We need to bring light to this issue. We need to make sure that people like Mr. Castellero are not only get a full recovery of the financial loss, but their relationships, their a standard in the community, their understanding of who they are. These things need to be backtracked, walked back, and if the United States District Attorney's Office and the Southern District of New York wanted justice and wanted to do the right thing, that is the right thing to do. Review the case, make a recommendation to President Trump, pardon these individuals, get a dismissal, and give them all of their rights back, one or the other. But there is the right path here.
Well, Stockvader just posted MMTLP can bring down the SEC and FINRA. Stay tuned. They're not wrong. From where I'm sitting and what I saw last night, Michael, your troubles may go away sooner than later. We're going to be breaking that story here very, very, very soon. And I'm working with an incredible team, the MMTLP Army. You should probably look into that community. You'll find a lot of like minds in there, Michael, and you'll find a lot of friends. They're wonderful, wonderful people. So encourage you. Trend the same thing. These folks have done some deep dives, and they can probably be a real resource in what you're trying to do as well. So I would encourage you to reach out. I can make some connections if that'll be a help to you.
Make some connections. I'm interested to hear these parallels because we might connect with the others that we have. And I think it's going to be very interesting when we start showing that there's not one, not two, not seven, not nine, but 10 and 12. Similar to the Himalayan exchange scenario with Miles Gow, et cetera, et cetera. We are seeing so many terrible parallels here. So I look forward to hearing what these folks have to say.
Great. Great. Michael, I'm going to give you last word here. What do you want to leave the folks today with?
It's been a rough 4 years, but I got to keep fighting. I have a wife and 2 kids, and I got to make sure that whatever lies and narrative has made about me, I got to fix it. And because I don't want them living with this cloud over them. And I just gotta continue to fight to clear my name, because these agencies need to be straightened out. They need to be punished for weaponizing the government just because they don't like what you believe in. That's not what America was founded on. That's not what this country was founded on. And I'm sure our founding fathers are rolling in their graves seeing this. Because
you're not lying. I say it every day. As the daughter of the American Revolution, I say it every day. Go ahead, Trennis.
As my mother says, they're not rolling, they're spinning. She said this is horrific what's happened in our country, how the powers and levers have seized control by evil men. And it's time for good men like Mr. Castellero these people to be exonerated. It's time for good men like Mr. Tickton, Mr. Trump, and so many others to do what needs to be done to rectify this country. And it's going to take bold and decisive action. I don't think we're going to do this in our courts. I think they're going to have those tribunals. I do believe that that's what it has to come to hold accountable those that have so misused their authority.
Yeah. Roger just popped in from the MMTLP community, says never surrender. And I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. We've got somebody else from the community. What happened to our country? Boy, what happened to our country is exactly right. Well, we're awake now. We have a lot of public evidence being, brought to the forefront, thanks to X, thanks to Facebook, thanks to all these platforms that in the past were very broad, with censorship. We still have some issues there, but you know what? We're fighting through the censorship and we're coming together. We're finding each other. Trennis, I'm definitely going to connect you with the folks over there. Michael, if you have interest, I'm happy to connect. Just hashtag MMTLP. That on X, if you just do a search for that, you will find massive amounts of information. But I can assure you this story that I'm going to be breaking here based on the recent FOIA is going to set some people's hair on fire. And I'm looking forward to dropping that bomb. And we're going to have a bunch of little grenades that come out. And we're not going to stop. It's relentless. I think what we're going to end up with is a press conference in front of the SEC here in the not too distant future, demanding a lot of stuff. So stay tuned. And Michael, we will, we'll continue to follow your story. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Trennis, thank you. I know you've got to get back to the event out in Phoenix.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me in. You're always a warrior. It's glad to be here with you anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, guys, what you've just heard are claims, but they're very serious claims. And these are set against what I would consider to be very equally serious accounting of, should we say, bad dealings coming out of the SEC and out of FINRA and other agencies around our supposed federal government. But in our country, allegations of government misconduct deserve a lot of scrutiny. And what you're going to learn is that the MMTLP community is bringing a lot of scrutiny. Michael Castellari scrutiny is going to bring, should I say, his investigation is going to bring a lot of scrutiny. And as a journalist, I can't choose sides. I got to look at the evidence. But if documentation supports claims of misconduct and inducement or procedural abuse, believe you me, I'm going to be all over it because the facts matter. We just don't talk about claims. We look at the evidence. And the evidence I'm seeing from where I'm sitting is pretty damn over the top. And I think that these agencies have a lot to atone for. They've got a lot of... they've got a lot of heat coming their way. So, folks, stay tuned. We've got a lot more on this. And I appreciate you tuning in to the MMTLP community. God bless you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for reposting and sharing. You guys are incredible. It is an honor to help bring some light to your story as well. And to Michael Castellari, great man. I feel terrible for what they've done to him and his partners, and to particularly the stockholders, because, again, it's the American people that invest in what they consider to be good business, and to have that good business attacked by the very agency that's supposed to protect the people that are investing in that business, and everybody loses but the government, who then steals your business, puts it into receivership, and starts a cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. This is a playbook. It's a broken wash, rinse, repeat pattern that we see over and over again. And thank God for Peter Tickton and Trennis Evans at Condemned USA for stepping into the fight, and to all the folks at MMTLP for keeping the fight alive. You guys are incredible. Have a wonderful day. More to come, and we'll talk to you guys again. Have a good weekend, everybody. I know people are getting ready for Christmas. God bless.
All the people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs, fuck you.